much. Thank you very much for invitation. I'm delighted to participate in such forum. I would like, during my presentation, to highlight some aspects of the security environment of the Republic of Moldova in the new context of regional and international insecurity. Recently, we elaborated and we presented with a group of authors from civil society and academia study on short-term threats of Republic of Moldova, and I would like to present some ideas that we presented 2 days ago. Is not new that by launching large-scale military aggression against Ukraine, the Russian Federation has moved to a new stage in the implementation of its foreign policy in Eastern Europe. This policy is among the key priorities under the Primakov Doctrine, which is based on several priorities. The creation of multipolar world with Russia as one of the major centers of power. Russia holds primacy and controls the integration process in the ex-Soviet space, and Russia opposes NATO extension. Thus, after regaining economic and military power, a process of resubordination of the former Soviet territories was to take place. It's not something new. All of us know about that. Meanwhile, the priority in regional politics belonged to the objective of to avoid the loss of influence in the ex-Soviet states. This objective was achieved through the creation of economic and energy dependencies, the projection of or using the soft power in the region, including the spread of propaganda, but also through conventional or hybrid war action, maintaining pro-Russian separatist region in the Republic of Moldova, and not only in Georgia and Azerbaijan, Armenia, Ukraine too. Russian geopolitical thinking operates with the term limited sovereignty. That is the legalization of the dependence of an ex-Soviet state on the Kremlin in matters of security and foreign policy, in special regarding the people of respective countries. It's not something new, and we know that during 2020, Russia succeeded to practically impose such a model of operation on Belarus. The same vision were repeatedly proposed to Republic of Moldova in exchange for the solution of Transnistrian conflict. In fact, it was mentioned during this forum that the security environment is much more complex, being influenced by expansionist ambition of an actor, Russian Federation. The implication of this ambition are multidimensional. But why this group of authors that I mentioned it initially decided to present to authorities the main important threats for short term and middle term of regarding the national security of Republic of Moldova, and as well we presented vulnerabilities that could contribute to the national security of the country. And in this respect, the main immediate threats from Russian Federation will consist of exploring internal vulnerabilities with the aim of imposing a docile regime of leadership in the Republic of Moldova. Even if there is no military threats in the short term, the war itself in Ukraine is a vulnerability for the country, which influences many aspects of the internal situation in the society of Republic of Moldova, increases in anxiety, for example, and tension, produce numerous constraints in various fields. The threats from Russian Federation is conditioned by Moscow vision and not by action or inaction of Republic of Moldova, first of all. Moscow's strategic vision is dominated by a conspirational strategic thinking, which threats a base scenarios, those that are perceived to be the most negative for the Kremlin interest. And during our studies, we presented the principal vulnerabilities, 13, the most important, but that's not only 13 vulnerabilities of country. Such vulnerabilities were discussed the vulnerabilities of Republic of Moldova from the hybrid perspective. First of all, weak state, separatism, the presence of Russian military forces, religious or ethnical tension, captive identities, we have still this such problem, political polarization, and misinterpretation of neutrality. During the situation, the invasion in Ukraine, in our society, we started to discuss the neutrality, the perspective of neutrality of Republic of Moldova. But the main danger that sometime was tried to be discussed in the society, it is in the context of aggression in Ukraine, is the situation in Transnistria. A huge of reporter, a journalist from different countries came to Republic of Moldova to understand if it is a danger for Republic of Moldova at the regional level, the Transnistrian situation. Yes, there has been almost no violence since the war, where ended 30 years ago. We had war in 1992, but the last month has seen as violent. We had some violent incident in the region with a series of mysterious explosions and attacks on infrastructure. Mercifully, thank you, without any causalities in the fact. And at the regional level, in fact, and some official use this kind of expression or opinion, like the Transnistria's military freeze to Moldova is much less than meets the eye. It's not so important. But yes, it is only 130 soldiers that is designed as Russian, are in fact local with Russian passport. More than 700 armed forces in the territory. But the region is still closely political and culturally affiliated with Russian Federation, despite the fact that Transnistria is incorporated into deep and comprehensive free trade area regime of European Union with Republic of Moldova, because Transnistria legally it's a part of Republic of Moldova. On the other hand, the Transnistria issues can't be separated from the economical handake, as the two parts of Moldova, both political disconnected, are economical as single, if dysfunctional whole. Right bank, Moldova currently gets more of its electricity from a power plants in Transnistria powered by Russian gas. In fact, Transnistria's business model relies on gas that gets for free or almost nothing from Gazprom. It is not a pretty situation, in fact, but on that is hard to disentangle in the short term. It's very common issues that we try to manage in the current situation of aggression in Ukraine. Beyond those mentioned, in order to achieve its objective, speak about the ambition of Russian Federation, Russian Federation could very effectively to explore the vulnerability of the country, such and to create the imminent risk or threats for the country. For example, to create a controlled chaos using a coup d'etat or a deep political and socio-economical crisis, which would lead the Republic of Moldova either to election anticipate or would to throw the country into chaos and humanitarian crisis. Because until now we are divided societies. From one hand, for another hand, the narratives regarding the aggression in Ukraine is used very effectively in our country, such the hate message regarding refugee, or when collaboration with NATO, it is to involve Republic of Moldova in war, or neutrality, it means to be ensured and to be safety in the region. At the same time, the sharpening of economical crisis is social tension that will erode the capacity to increase resilience in the face of threats and will consume the resources needed to deepen European integration and security partnership. Now we have a lot of narratives regarding our membership, our willing to be member of European Union. And this kind of narrative is used, explored by pro-Russian groups. At the same time, it's very producing paramilitary provocation following the Donbass model in 2014. And at the same time, we are vulnerable with kind of Cobas ammunition depot that would cause panic, amplify multiple crises, and throw the Republic of Moldova into internal conflict or chaos. At the end of this study, we discussed a lot 2 days ago with our authorities, for example, ahead of Security Council, Supreme Security Council under presidency, participated the chief head of intelligence service. And we identify during this discussion a lot of recommendations for policy, but also action to strengthen our resilience and to stop this kind of controlled chaos. Based on the fact that the threat, risk, and vulnerabilities identified are interdependent. In fact, it's very difficult to analyze these threats dependent. They are connected. Situation of energy security, for example, defense capacity of country, the polarization of societies, transparencies of institution of government regarding their action to emphasize the current crisis. And we divided our recommendation using different dimensions. For example, societal, Transnistrian, the dimension regarding national defense and resilience to shock, the security policy and strategic communication, and also identify specific recommendation. I will not present this kind of all recommendation, but I would like to mention that on the Transnistrian dimension, it was highlighted about the need to develop a plan of economical measure that would apply regulatory, custom, and fiscal instrument to maintain and strengthen the economic dependence of Transnistria region on Chisinau. This plan of measure must be integrated into a broader strategy for managing the economic and energy crisis, so that it does not harm the economic and energy security of all countries. Also, the main problem or main headache, it is a relation regarding Gazprom, and the civil society emphasized how it is important to elaborate a strategy for crisis situation regarding the use by Russian Federation of energy instrument to implement political plan at the regional level. Because at the strategic level, Republic of Moldova, always we discussed about long-term threats. Now it's very important to develop our capacity to manage current security crisis and to be able to confront, to find enough resources to avoid the manipulation for short and middle term. And during our presentation, also we discussed how it is important to capitalize
1 minute, please.
Our strategic partnership. Yes, 1 minute. Our strategic partnership at the bilateral level and how to promote our collaboration with NATO. And we focused to needs to increase our defense capacity, because in our societies we used to say that we are neutral. That means that we don't need army, and that's why we emphasize the need to develop our defense capacity using military approach, because during 30 years it was destroyed, this kind of capacity. And finally, it's very important to have a common understanding to promote our national interest regarding strategic communication. Thank you very much for your attention and ready for questions.